Hey guys, we've got a little bit of a I don't know, special video if you want to call it that, but I was watching over the last couple of days the Transition Modeler and Show Rod Garage, Ken and Gary, or Gary and Ken, I guess technically speaking, have been having a great debate over the quality or lack thereof of the Revell boxed Lamborghini Countach LP. I guess it's a 500S technically. And then Ken went out and made a video today talking about the two kits, and he bought a Tamiya 500S off of eBay for next to nothing, and was comparing it to the Revell kit and stuff like that. Now, I will first of all say I will not disabuse anybody of their purchasing decisions. I don't want this to come off like I'm, certainly implying anybody is wrong. However, I will say, Ken, get over the Japanese buying thing. You save so much more money that way. For example, the kits I'm going to show you combined cost about probably $5 less than both your models because I bought them through Japan. If you order through a company called HobbyLink Japan, it's HLJ.com. It always scrolls through the credits at the end of the stash report. That is run by an American who married a Japanese woman, went back to Japan, realized there was no good way to get Japanese models from Japan to the United States, and that's created HLJ. HobbyLink Japan doesn't really sell within Japan. It is mostly an export company, and therefore they have their thing, their business down. I probably spend somewhere in the neighborhood of a number I'm not going to actually say out loud in case my wife sees it, but let's just say it's in four figures per year there, and I have never once had any single problems whatsoever. Again, not going to disabuse you. If you want to buy stuff in the United States, God bless you. I just, I support my local hobby shop via buying domestic kits in the United States. I don't buy my round two. I don't really buy round two stuff anyway because that's not really my interest. But I don't buy Revell kits. I don't buy Mobius kits off of eBay through online vendors. I will buy those at my local hobby shop, spend the extra $2, $3, and support my local hobby shop that way, along with all my supplies, my paint and glue and stuff like that. But when it comes to buying Japanese kits, I buy them from Japan directly because I'm not paying the rent for the guy at Stevens. When it comes right down to it, the reason Japanese kits are so much more expensive inside the United States is because you're paying your hobby shop guy or the eBay guy, and you're paying the guy who imported it for them. It's that middleman markup thing. Nah, you don't need to be doing that. Also, addressing another concern there as far as shipping goes and customs. Plastic model kits are not subject to customs duties and really inspection by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So very rarely, if ever, will your things get held in customs, or it's certainly not opened in customs. You can ship through HobbyLink Japan via what is known as EMS, Express Mail Service. That is the Japanese post office's equivalent to priority mail. Or you can ship through FedEx. FedEx is FedEx. And either one of those options, while slightly more expensive than, say, like basically what amounts to UPS third ground mail here, will get you your stuff in somewhere between 3 to 5 days, maybe 7 days if you ship through a weekend, because obviously the post office doesn't deliver on Sunday and FedEx doesn't deliver on weekends. But, you could track that stuff from the time it leaves HobbyLink Japan to the time it reaches your door. It's not just floating around out there crazily someplace. A lot of the people you hear have bad experiences with shipping from Japan are using a thing called surface airlift, SAL. For anybody who's been in the military, this is basically the same equivalent to what we call SAM here in the United States, space available mail, meaning your mail goes out when there's space for it to go out on an airplane. And other than flying from Japan to the United States, it's on ground transportation the entire rest of the time, which is why it tends to take somewhere between 2 weeks and a month to get there. And that is when you see a lot of people panic because they're used to buying in the United States, priority mail, getting their stuff in 3 to 4 days. But, like I said, EMS, FedEx, it'll get your stuff in 3 to 5 days. And, like I said, insured, trackable, you're never going to lose anything. Like I said, I have a plethora of Japanese kits, along with, I need to buy shelves for this stuff back here, because behind this is all my domestic stuff. I've never lost anything in the mail from Japan. I've never had anything damaged from the mail from Japan. Knock on wood there. Well, that's not true. I had one thing from eBay get damaged, but that wasn't the eBay guy's fault. That was certainly the U.S. Postal Service's fault, because the Postal Service admitted that they damaged it here in the United States. I used to work for the Postal Service as a mail contractor, so I can verify that most of the damage you see happens here. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is these Lamborghini Countach kits. The Revell kit that both Gary and Ken are talking about is actually not a Revell kit. It is the Monogram Exotics kit that was done in the 1980s. Subject to that, it has all the same problems and foibles that all of those exotic kits had. That would be the Lotus Esprit, then the Ferrari Testarossa. I think there's a Porsche 911 slant nose in that too. Some of those kits are pretty good. Some of them, like the Testarossa, are really bad. The Lamborghini sort of slots in between the two, where it's not particularly good, it's not particularly bad. In the right hands, I've seen his work. I've seen Gary's work too. Both those people should be able to, whip the kit into shape. However, I personally don't enjoy the process of fighting with my models. I'm not to say I couldn't build one. I just would rather build something other than something I have to fight with. And when you look at what you have to fight with, aside from the wheel and tire issue, which if you haven't watched Ken and Gary's videos about this kit, the Revell kit, which I don't have one to show you because I don't want one, the wheels are, first of all, not dished. They are completely flat, like a regular wheel would be, and the actual what we call rotary phone wheels, the five hole wheels that are on the anything after an 400S Countach should have a dish to them, and these ones are perfectly flat. They're also too small in diameter, which is a Revell problem universally. The tires are too big in a sidewall height, which again is a Revell problem. And then, of course, this is a 1980s kit, and if anybody remembers some of the 1980s Monogram kits, the tires, and these tires were used pretty much throughout that entire exotic car series, because one set of tires, it fits everything, right? Also was a tire that instead of being hollow, not so much hollow, because that's what we're seeing now with those sort of paddle wheel things that you're getting out of Revell and Mobius, but in addition to being a solid wheel, it didn't go all the way through. In the middle, it had a tiny little hole that the mounting boss from the wheel to the axle went through. So there was no wheel back to it per se. The wheel back was part of the tire. And in the process of doing that, so that everything would fit, universally, the tires are all the same size, which, as Gary and Ken have so eloquently pointed out, is wildly incorrect for a Countach because the back wheels are much, much wider than the front wheels. So Ken went out and bought the Tamiya kit. The problem with the Tamiya kit is, of course, the wheels, while wider and the tires better, they're still not correct, because the Tamiya's wheels, the spokes stick out. Now, they may be trying to replicate the Campanella wheels rather than the actual dished wheels that were on a 500S, but irregardless, for a 500S, those wheels aren't right. They should be convex, not have the holes. Keep trying to call them spokes, so I'm stuttering. The holes on his wheels, if you watch the video, stick out. They look like gun turrets rather than being recessed like they are in real life. And so what we're going to talk about here in this video, we do a little bit of a kit review, if you want to call it that, are the Aoshima kits. Ken mentioned looking at these. They were priced in yen, and he couldn't do the conversion. By the way, Ken, it's basically 100 yen to $1. It's really more than that, but just on a basis, whatever the yen price is, put a decimal in between. So if it's like 3,600 yen, it's $36. In reality, it's probably closer to 28 because the exchange rate is really, really favorable, dollar to the yen right now. But that's the easiest way. You see a yen price, take the decimal and park it right between right before the zeros, and that's what your price is going to be, or midway through the price. If it's 16,800 yen, then it's $168. These two kits that we're going to talk about here, these two Aoshima Lamborghinis, one is 3,800 yen, the other is 4,200 yen, so that's $38 and $42 respectively. Again, the exchange rate is much better, so it's really probably like 28, 32. But at any rate, if you want an actual 500S, you need to go buy the Fujimi kit. The Monogram kit is not a 500S, nor is the Tamiya kit, technically speaking. Both of them are more like, as Gary pointed out, 400Ss. The 500S from Fujimi comes in two different boxing versions. One is the Enthusiast series, which everybody should probably remember from the 1980s because they did really push the Enthusiast series here in the United States. Those kits, the Lamborghini Enthusiast series kits, are still in production from Fujimi. They are not like the Porsche 911, the 1960s Porsche 911 kits, where they're real hard to find and they cost a lot of money. The 500S, the 400, the LP400, the 5000 Quattro, and the 25th anniversary are all still currently in the catalog and shouldn't really cost you all that much more than a regular off-the-shelf any other Japanese kit would cost you. They also make it in what they call the Real Sports series, where they took that Enthusiast kit, made it into a curbside, dumbed down the parts content significantly, because obviously once you take all of the engine and suspension pieces out, make it into a curbside, you cut the contents of the kit by more than a third in reality, and as a result, those prices tend to be about $12 to $15 less for the curbside. I'm going to presume that in this conversation, we're not talking about curbside kits, because that isn't what anybody seems to want. They want the full detail kits. So the 500S is available as an Enthusiast series kit. The 25th anniversary Countach, which is the last of the Countaches they made prior to the Diablo coming in from 88 to 90, are also available as, again, an Enthusiast series and a Real Sports series from Fujimi. I stress the differences because you have to pay attention to what you're buying. I don't want anybody going out and purchasing something and then getting the wrong thing and then coming and blaming me. You really, really have to pay attention. Real Sports, the stock numbers on those say RS hyphen and a number. The Enthusiast series are EM, Enthusiast model, EM dash and a number. Make sure that you're buying the correct kit if you are buying one of those kits. That being said, on Aoshima, we'll spin the camera around here in a second, they've done an LP400, they've done the 5000 Quattro. There's also two of the three Walter Wolf editions. Walter Wolf, the guy that ran the F1 Wolf team, had special Lamborghini Countaches built, three of them, over the years. If you want to know more about that, Google it, look it up on Wikipedia, whatever. We're not going to go into a history of the Countaches necessarily. But both of these kits from Aoshima, and let's see here, I'm going to take the camera and spin it on around here. I need to go backwards just a couple inches here. So we need to go off of one platform onto another. And that way I can have more table surface to work with here. But both of these Lamborghinis were done, and this one was done in the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. And this one was done mid-2012 into 2013. So these are brand new tool kits. None of the big problem that, of course, you see with the Tamiya kit, of course, is that it's formerly a motorized toy. So the chassis on it has a motorized chassis where it still has the carrier for the electric motor and still has the battery box to accept 2 AA batteries, and it still has in the basic entire bottom of the engine and rear suspension area is a snap-on piece that covers the battery box and the electric motor carrier. I think I'll probably, if I remember, because I'll upload these videos and I forget, if I can remember, I'll link to both Ken and Gary's videos about the Revell kits and Ken's review of his Tamiya kit to show you exactly what I'm talking about in regards to the curbside battery box nature of the Tamiya kit. So why I prefer these kits, if you want to build a 400 or a 5000 Quattro, is the fact that unlike the Enthusiast series kits, these aren't like 225 part fiddly piece kits. And I don't mean piece of shit kits by any stretch of imagination. The Fujimi kits are quite nice. However, they are 200-plus part kits, and they're not a weekend project by any stretch of the imagination. Nor are these curbside. These do have engine detail in them. They are not what you would consider probably to some people to be full engine detail, and I'll show you in a second. We're going to do basically an out-of-the-box look at this one, because this we'll glance at this real quick, but this is more the kit that everybody's talking about, because while the 5000 Quattrofoil has a different engine in it than the 500S does, they are exteriorly pretty much identical. The reason these kits are so great is because Aoshima flew their engineering and design team from Japan to Italy, went to Lamborghini's factory museum, and in some of what were the first 3D designed, the 3D scanned cars, took complete 3D scans of the LP400 and the 5000 Quattrofoil, and then came back and produced models from them. So these kits are the most accurate bodies on any Countach kit you can buy, simply because they are taken quite literally from a three-dimensional scan of the actual vehicle. It's not scaling up or pantographing plans of the cars. It's not from taking measurements with rulers and photographs. It is 3D scans of the actual vehicles done in Italy. Not even like, oh, we took a clay model. No, this was actually scanned from the real vehicle. And this goes for all of the Lamborghini kits that Aoshima has made: the Murcielago, the Aventador, the Diablo GT that we're not really allowed to talk about, but they sort of let the cat out of the bag about. All of those have been laser or 3D scanned in Italy at the factory museum. So you get proper size wheels, proper size tires, proper size bodies. Both of these kits, guys, as you can see here, the door is open on this one. The door does open. The doors do open on this as well. The headlights can be displayed both up and down, or up or down, I guess, technically speaking, because I don't believe you'd have to do a little work to get them to function, technically speaking. They're not designed out of the box to open and close. But a halfway talented guy should be able to build a hinge for it, rather than not, because they are designed to be glued, either closed or open. And so, in a real quick thing here, I kind of lost my shelf because I moved my laptop over to fit the camera here. We'll take a quick look at the bodies here, because unlike a lot of things that you probably see domestically speaking, and here I'm talking about Revell, they went out and actually did two different bodies for the two different cars. This is not a modified tooling. This is not, that looks close enough to that, so let's do that instead. This is straight up two different body tools. Got like a Ponzi scheme going there, boxes stacking on boxes. So this right here is the 5000 Quattrofoil body, and this right here is the LP400 body. Now they do appear to be more or less the same. If you do a front profile shot, they're reasonably identical. However, the LP400 has the roof induction, if you want to call it that, whereas the 5000 Quattrofoil did not have that and is not present on the model. Should have thought about this a little bit better before I started, but pretty much visually, these cars are identical, within the confines. Now, the 5000 Quattrofoil body, you would be like, well, where are the big Fender Flares and all that stuff? Now, you're going to see the Fender Flares are separate pieces on this kit, which, of course, reduces mold lines, reduces painting problems, and all sorts of things like that. But I don't have a Revell kit. I don't have a Tamiya kit, and I don't have any Fujimi Enthusiast series kits on me right now either. But, like I said, these are 3D scanned take this camera down a little bit. If you notice how just incredibly ridiculously thin the A-pillars are on these kits, that shows you a little bit of how out of scale the Revell kit and the Tamiya kit are. Now, although a lot of people will be like, oh, first thing I'm going to bust all these things. Aoshima, because, yeah, you probably would bust these things if you were to actually mishandle them, includes basically a windshield-shaped buck that's universal for all their Countach kits that you place in here. They call it a masking seal, but however, it's just really a blank plastic buck that goes in here while you paint it, sand it, polish it, to allow the A-pillars and the roof to have structural integrity while you're building them until you get to the point where you're ready to put the glass in and actually do final assembly. So, a good little bit of engineering forethought into that because quite clearly, like I said, I don't even want to put any pressure on these with this stylus. But let's just put it this way. These are very incredibly thin, and that is the scale door opener. That is the scale A-pillar on one of these cars. Go ahead and look at the Revell kit and the Tamiya kit, and you're going to see that they are way, way thicker, mostly because of the fact that those kits are, designed 20, 30 years ago when it's quite possible that that molding technology wasn't even available, let alone, regardless of the fact that those kits are, the Lamborghini Countach from Tamiya was designed to be a toy, and, you really don't want to put real thin A-pillars on a toy, right? But like I said, these kits are pretty much identical. The big difference, of course, is the roofs. Now, the other differences between these two kits would, of course, be the engine. You have the side carbureted original V12 that's in the LP400. You have the top carbureted engine that's in the 5000 Quattroval. So, like I said, we're going to put the 400 away here because this is, it's not really the point of this review. The interiors are different. There are different door panels, different seat patterns, and things of that nature for the 400. It's like I said, it's a 3D scan done in Italy. These two kits are, share the chassis parts, share some of the suspension parts, but really beyond that, guys, are two different things. There's also a Photo-Etch detail upset. I'm trying to get this into the whole thing in the frame at once. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit. For the LP400 from Aoshima, it includes some spark plug wires, metal transfers for the scripting and the mirrors, seatbelt material, as well as, I know everything's in the way here, but a full set of Photo-Etch includes wipers, brake discs, the vents for the back, as well as vents for all of the radiator intakes and things like that. That is a separate piece. It does not come with it, although there is a set that does come with it. This set is about $9, so if you were interested in ordering it separately, it does exist. The actual kit itself, the actual LP400 with the Photo-Etch is discontinued, but I know my local hobby shop still has one sitting on the shelf, so they're not that hard to find. So let's take the body and scooch it over this way. Here's your instruction sheet. It is, a staple to the middle bifold book, basically. I don't want to tear these plastic up too much. I like to put those parts back away. So this kit does come with Photo-Etch as well as metal transfers. Metal transfers are right here. Probably not going to focus. I got too much glare coming back off the computer. There we go. It's side mirror, review mirrors, and Lamborghini logos for the engine block, and then there is also a very tiny fret of Photo-Etch. Make sure I got this right side up here. That includes, again, Lamborghini wording for, up there at the very top there, Lamborghini wording for the engine block, as well as the dashboard gauge faces and a few other pieces and parts there. I'm not exactly totally sure what those are supposed to be because I didn't look at the instructions, but they're, like I said, this is included in the Quattrovolt kit. It is not separate. A sheet of very shiny chrome. My background is too noisy. I realize that. I'll just take this thing and pitch it onto the ground. What this ends up being is mirror faces, if you don't want to do the, there, now it's in focus. Mirror faces, I'd have to look to see what those are. Oh, they're the exhaust ports, and I believe these would be the buckets to the fog lights. Apologize for the shaky camera work there, guys. This, of course, would be your basic interior, including your interior bucket itself, which is, like I said, a different interior bucket than the one that's in the actual 400 kit. The bottom of your dashboard, kind of need to readjust what I'm doing so I can see what I'm doing here. Bottom of your dashboard, top of your dashboard, nicely engraved blower vents there. This is the lower suspension cradle, which would hold your, which is, the back suspension cradle. Your oil pan would go through here. Your center console, your shifter, your pedal set, as well as your steering wheel. Also in this bag is probably the thing everybody's most interested in when we come talk about the wheels and tires on this on these Countaches, is the wheels and tires for this Countach. As you can see, these are recessed and they're dished correctly, as opposed to being flat-faced or, like I said, having these spokes stick out like gun torts, because they don't do that. Also, if you look at them from the side profile, obviously the rear ones are significantly deeper than the front ones, so you're not also stuck with that Revell problem where everything is the same depth as everything else. Anyways, they look kind of small. Like I said, they're 3D scans of the actual wheels. These are legitimately 1/24 scale versions of the literal wheel. Yeah, it's upside down. Thought I'd get away with not opening this bag, but I am unable. Here you've got your seats, your steering shaft, and let's see here, antenna, third brake or handbrake. Not sure what this would technically be right here. Actually, there's two handbrakes here, so one of these handbrakes is not going to be used because it's for the other Quattrovolt, and then your rearview mirror, and then you've got your glass. This is the 5000 Quattrovolt specific glass, by the way. There's going to be another glass tree in here for the bigger glass pieces, but this is specifically for the 5000 Quattrovolt. Includes back glass, your fog lights, marker lights, a glass panel for your gauges that the Photo-Etch obviously goes on top of, and then your rear lights and your fog lights. There are also masking seals for the side windows, so you don't have to worry about necessarily trying to get the black paint around the side windows correct, as well as a little thing of mesh for the intakes. These two trees are going to be your engine parts for the most part. Here is your basically your cylinder heads, halves, and your block halves. Your radiators. Now you'll notice the radiators. Whoops, I'm showing nothing to you guys. The radiator halves do sort of end at the bottom here because of the way the engine mounts into the engine cradle. You're not going to notice. Believe me, with all the stuff that's going on in here, you're never going to notice that these are only half of the thing, or half of the radiator. Front cover, your air conditioning compressor, your alternator, as well as your exhaust pipes. Got some nice fine detailing, maybe, if I can show it to you. There we go. And then this is what I meant by being a non-traditional engine. This is the engine cradle, the top half of the engine cradle. As you see, you know, part of one of your belts, and I believe this might actually be the alternator rather than those other things, but alternator or power steering pump, whichever this is, technically speaking, it does stick up on the bottom here, and then your engine builds up and glues into this area right here. A lot of people will complain that, well, this isn't a full engine because, regardless of the fact that this engine is something like 16 pieces, there's no bottom to it. Well, there is a bottom. We'll show it to you in a second. But the way this kit designs and lays out, it was far easier to do this way with a separate oil pan that mounts from the bottom, rather than trying to create an entire engine and little fruit fly. Rather than trying to create an entire engine, get to fit together. One of the problems you're going to find with the Revell kit, assembling it, I remember this from building one many years ago, is the fact that the Revell kit, all the rocker panels and the back and the rear fascia and all that stuff is all part of the chassis plate. And trying to get everything to go together, because that was, if you don't have the engine seated correctly, if you don't have the rear suspension built correctly, if you don't have the rear suspension seated correctly, if there's any kind of warp to the chassis pan, guess what? Your model kit does not fit together, and as a result looks like a bungled pile of junk, because the whole rocker panel area here isn't connected to the model kit. On here you see the rear fascia is already part, oops, I guess you can't see because I'm not showing it to you. The rear fascia is part of the model kit here. Does that create a mold line issue? There are mold lines right along the corner here, but it's not something, even if I can get this to focus, that you'd be able to see in the first place. And the front fascia, again, part of the model kit here. Well, that focused for some reason. It's just so much easier to get this kit together, I know a couple people who have built these, than it is to get that Revell kit together, because you don't have to worry about trying to mate these things up. These side panels will attach. You see the mounting holes here and here. So the side rocker attaches to the body rather than coming up from the chassis and trying to glue to a flush surface that has no receptacle for it. So at any rate, like I said, this exists here. Now, the only reason you would have a problem, I guess, to me, is if you plan to take this V12 out of this kit and put it into something else. Then, yes, it's not a full engine, and it is totally useless to you in that purpose if you wanted an engine swap. I get that point, but for the rest of us, I don't think it's a problem. You have your mesh inserts for your intakes, and a bunch of other random sundry engine parts. Here is your engine cover. Which, despite the fact that it won't focus, come on. There we go. Does have Lamborghini logo engraved into the top of it. And then there's, of course, over here your valve covers. Let's put this away before we break anything. Here's your other glass piece. Includes the front glass, the window glass. You will have to, of course, paint the window frame. We have to paint the window frames into here because they don't exist. Your headlight covers, fog light covers, and then you don't use this whole section right here because this is the LP400's rear glass, and you don't use this whole section right here because this is the LP400 window glass and stuff like that. And then let me quick peek at the old instruction manual here. And you also don't use this piece here. These are the tail lights, and and this is the headlight covers for the upper headlights rather. This bag here has all of the Quattrofolt specific engine or body parts. So you've got your wing and your winglets, as well as the front and rear. Well, I should say the rear and front as I'm pointing to them. But here are your Fender Flares to make the Quattrofolt out of this kit. Here would be your Quattrofolt specific your Quattrofolt specific front air dam, your side skirts. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat in the background is very unhappy with the fact that I'm doing this and not paying attention to it. Your mirrors, your engine cover, which has the large hump that the prototypically large hump that the LP400 does not have, because when they took the carburetor off the side and put them onto the top of the engine, it caused the top of the engine, of course, to come out of the old engine cover. So this has the new engine cover that represents having that different engine configuration. These are some inserts for the front bumper that go like down here. And then I don't even know what these are. Oh, those are part of your part of the hinge system for the doors. On this chrome tree, let's put it down here, includes the back to your tail lights, and a bunch of other parts here that I'm not exactly sure what they're for. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't use, let's see, you wouldn't use these right here because they're the side carburetors, and you won't use any of these parts right here because they're for the LP400. And then I'm not sure what these right here go to because I haven't actually read through the instruction sheet, but mainly I'm showing this to you because this includes the reflectors for the tail lights, so you're not worrying about trying to bare metal foil anything. And the tail lights, as you'll see based on the glass I was showing you before, are individual tail lights rather than being like a piece that fits in the back that's one universal color or anything else like that. These are could be separate tail lights as it works out. This is the rocker area behind where the exhaust pipes come out of. And then these are, if you had a display case and you wanted to bolt this to the display case, that's what this is for. Otherwise, you would not use this. The springs for the suspension, I believe these will be the back one, the twin shock struts for the back, front struts. And this would be the front wheel bosses because they've got the clip here for the tie rod end for the steering, and then here's your big blank window insert. This is what you put in, under here to secure those tiny, thin A-pillars during painting, polishing, and sanding, color sanding, and all the rest of that stuff. So, I mean, this is a pretty thick hardy piece of plastic too. So you don't really like, oh, it's this is just as flimsy as the body. No, this is actually a really thick. It's probably a 16-inch thick at least. So this will definitely, without a problem, hold this up. Okay, focus is fine for that. You see here, there's two little mounting buttons here for the glass. Get some white glue, some canopy glue, something that dissolves in water. I use Aldine's tacky glue for all my windows anyway, and that stuff dissolves in hot water. Or just tape it in here if you want to, but, again, it'll mount to these areas right here. And there's, on this, there's also a little nub that fits in the windshield wiper hole right there. So it'll securely attach in 3 points and keep your A-pillars safe and sound. I know, it's an incredible box of parts. This room pretty much includes all of your body panels that are universal between the two kits. Air intakes, license plate blanks for European plates, license plate blank for Japanese style plates. Bottom of the I don't think you use these. These are the bottom of the rocker panels for the LP400. Here are your doors. Which, actually, I should say the door, you don't have to paint the door frames on the glass after, although actually a recess to fit into the door frames on here. And then, this is, I believe, the part of the hinge system for the rear deck. Or, actually, I should say that's part of more air intakes. And this is the rear hinge system for the rear deck. But at any rate, the rear deck on this is posable, is open and closed too, obviously. Here's a big mamma jamma tree. This has all the important guts. Basically, where you're going to start the build at anyway. So here's a satin finished chrome tree. This as we're going to explain to you, is the bottom of the engine. I think if you really wanted to, you probably make a whole engine out of this. It'll take a little work to get the block to attach directly to this, but this is obviously your oil pan and transaxle cover, and then your differential. Here are your brakes. Seem kind of small, but remember, guys, this is the Quattrofold represents a 1985 car, and that's before we start putting 18-inch brakes on every single thing on the face of the planet. And then should point them this way, I guess. These are your driving light buckets, or the lights that will fit down into these openings down here. This is your chassis plate. Now, you could argue that this chassis plate isn't as detailed as the Revell one. Obviously, guys, here they took the decided I don't know if we call it an advantage or not, but the decided method of mounting the space frame onto what would actually be the floor pan of the interior. Obviously, the Revell kit, this is all just open space frame. Your preference as to what you want. I think this creates, again, a more solid base. All about that base, to the model itself by not having a random amount of warp tubing trying to attach to the bottom of your interior pan. This is the top of your... Let's spin it this way. This is your top A-arms for your suspension. And then your transaxle, which is not in focus, and your tie rod link for your suspension, some shocks, other assorted engine pieces. This is the bottom of the bottom A-arms for the front suspension, some more air intakes, and then the mounting pegs for the other side of the wheels. Because on Aoshima kits, the wheels are female, meaning they have holes in the back of here. So your pegs will go through the wheel mount bosses. Also, I want to take a good look at how much it compared to the Revell chassis. And this is going to be the problem that I think Ken is going to have with those bigger wheels, is how much deeper these wheel wells are in the back than they are in the front. So, the problem that he may have with trying to put those wider tires and wheels out of the Tamiya kit into the kit, that the Revell kit, is the fact that the back wheel hubs are not going to be wide enough. The whole kit as a whole is not going to be wide enough, perhaps, unless the kit is designed for the correct wheels and they just didn't put the correct wheels in them. I mean, that's always an option, too. Again, I haven't seen one of those since the 1980s, when I was probably like 15. Well, not I wasn't 15. Like, the kit was made in the 1980s, and then I had one in the mid-90s when I was almost out of high school. Good old-fashioned polycaps, and all them little sticks in there that look like junk are the door stays and the trunk stays. So you have real, not cooperating, you have real, how come out of the bag, you have real metal door stays and real metal trunk stays to keep the doors open. They don't, like, snap in and snap up like some Tamiya kits do, or flop around out of control like some AMT kits would. You have metal stays to hold things open. That way you're not putting stress on the plastic hinges. And then I guess the other money shot, if you will, for the actual kit itself, since we are discussing the wheels and tires issue, and that's the primary reason, are the wheels and tires out of this kit. They are a set of, I really need my magnifier for this, a set of, a set of 225, looks like 50 VR15s for the front, and a set of 345, 35 VR15s for the back. There's no actual, like, tire manufacturer's name on here. Let's see here. But there are, like I said, wheel sizes. Obviously, that's what I was looking at, stumbling over. But that's probably just something that's not going to... yeah, I don't know if you guys should be able to read that or not, but it's as clear as it's going to get. Let's put these on. There's front wheel with tire mounted. And here's your rear wheel with tire mounted. Now, of course, the wheel opening looks ridiculously large compared to the tire because of the fact that the obviously the wheel flare that will cover a lot of the opening is not there. But you got an idea what it looks like, and like I said, what a nice dish that has to it. That dish, though, as the kids would say these days. It has a nice convex to it, and again, the wheel holes are, recessed and convex rather than being a set of gun turret barrels. Great if you're driving around a Gatling gun, but it's not an actual Lamborghini wheel. These are actual Lamborghini wheels. All right, let's see if we can mount this tire back out of here without breaking anything. As you see, this came off the tree when I pushed the tire on there, but it's not going to do any damage to the rim because, much like the Tamiya rims, these attach to the back of the wheel. So, a little nipping with my side cutters, and we'll clean that up, and we'll all be happy again. See if I can get the front wheel off without breaking the front wheel off the thing. There we go. So, 2 sets of little, 2 sets of big. Matching your 2 sets of littles and 2 sets of big. wheels. We're almost done, guys. I know we're like almost an hour here, but if you're going to go drop $35 on a model kit, you ought to know what you're buying, right? Should I had all this out of the bags and prepped already because I knew I was going to make this video this afternoon? Sure, but that would take all the fun out of it. But one more bag, guys, and we're done. This one is the fun bag, so to speak. If I can get it out of the bag without breaking everything. There's that. There's this. There's this, maybe. All right, guys. Move out of the way. Top of your vent. Top of vent intakes. Top of the actual top of the intakes. Oh, I don't even know what half this I don't know half this crap is, so we're just going to skip over these random body parts. This obviously, if you were going to put the headlights in an up position, this is the bracket for the headlights to fit into your windshield wiper. And then a really neat aspect about this kit is the fact that this is our part of your tail light, right? So just the center part, if you actually look at a set of Countach taillights, and again, a Euro spec one, because none of the kits ever made so far are US spec. That Monogram Revell kit is not not a US spec, because the US spec car should have had the giant bumpers, and actually the 5000S, or the 500S, 5000S, however you want to look at it, is not an actual US spec vehicle. Some got imported here in gray market importing prior to that going out of style, but the 5000 Quattrofold would be the first car that was ever actually imported in the United States. What happens here, guys, is that your turn signal ends up mounting your turn signal on this amber-colored parts runner, along with your marker light. One of these will go, let's say, I think it's this way. It's this way. Your amber tail light goes in from behind, like so. If I can actually get this lined up so you can see it. I can see it just fine, but you guys can't. Like that. And then one of the clear parts goes in here for the backup light. So you have amber, red, clear, and you didn't paint a single thing, because obviously the clear one will just go against that metallic, satin metallic backed taillight thing, and that'll serve as the reverse light. So having those two things done in colored plastic for you eliminates all the painting, all of the clear, trying to get colors to match. I know a lot of people don't like Tamiya clear orange. A lot of people don't like Tester's turn signal amber. So that solves all your problems. Everything's already colored for you. And then the last thing is in this tree is the decal sheet, which has just generic Countach license plates, a Japanese license plate. I'm not really sure what this would be, technically speaking, and then more traditional Euro-style plates. And then you've got all your other associated Countach badging, your gauges, Lamborghini logos. This right here is a really neat little piece, because this is all the gauges, and then you put the clear piece over top of it. Then you put the Photo-Etch over top of that, and you got a little sandwich of correctness as far as the gauges go. And then this of course, right here would be, for the top of the tinted sunshade for the window, if you're so inclined. And that, guys, is at nearly an hour finally that. So, if the LP400 really not all that different. Parts content-wise, there's different interior, different engine pieces. Base engine is still the same, but it has the side carburetors and has, of course, a different interior to represent the more Spartan interior of the 1970s, because that is supposed to be, I believe, a 1970. Yeah, a 1974, and this is supposed to be a 1985. So obviously a lot of interior upgrades were done to the car between those years. So the interior in the 1974 LP400 is much more Spartan. much more, much more Countach to a certain extent than the later cars were. But anyway, if you guys are interested in a Countach, I think this is the best option for everybody. A lot of people might be scared by the open doors and stuff like that. Hey, if you buy the Fujimi kits, you're going to get opening doors with that, unless you buy the cheap down real sport version. So no matter what you're doing there, you're getting opening doors. And like I said, I think, if you're going for prototypically correct, this is your really the only choice you have. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it was so long. I probably lost half of you 2/3 through, but it is what it is. For those people that hung on, you know exactly what's in this kit, literally sprue by sprue. So we'll see you guys on the other side.